potentially changed, which means that they then can incorporate the latest principles under the new code. That's 2015. That's something that's going to obviously, I mean, they're a huge bureaucracy. They have many other import conditions for different diseases from around the world to consider. They'll do it on mass, on block. So anyway, that takes care of the EU scenario. By the 23rd of June, officially the 24-month suspension is over, which entitles South Africa then to apply to all its non-EU trading partners. Singapore, Hong Kong, Dubai, America. Bahrain, not America because they don't comply with the EU conditions. Obviously, they're post-arrival.
Okay.
Yeah.
Are they always post-arrival?
They've just their philosophy.
That's it.
That's their philosophy.
Any quarantine time pre?
Look, in the future there will be just as a management process. You'll hold horses because you don't want to send an infected animal.
No,
I mean, what country in its right mind would send a horse that's potentially infected with any disease?
Have we ever sent an infected
We've
one?
sent the wrong horse before.
Was it infected?
No, but it happened to be a polo pony instead of a racehorse. Oh. So it has happened. So I think there are grounds.
Costly exercise?
Well, nothing to do with us, but I can imagine. And a lot of disgruntled.
No, he's doing fantastic. He did his first furlong in 48 seconds.
So there's obviously a reason to manage from a South African perspective the pre-export, control them, look at the paperwork, make sure that there's no infectious disease, whether it's strangles or whatever else it might be, and then send them. Anyway, that's besides the point. So we will then I'm going up to Pretoria this week to sit with veterinary services, normally Bev Parker, who works for us and is our bridge between veterinary services and industry, is away on holiday at the moment, much deserved after all the effort she put in with the EU audit.
Is Benny one of the team?
Benny's one of the team, yes.
So you've got a good team in place.
We've got an excellent team of people in place, highly qualified in their respective areas, but obviously we provide support to veterinary services. We're targeting obviously Singapore because we've now got a group of horses that have emerged.
Those ones that have bought the cells, will
yes,
they be that good?
They will be going. Malaysia, Pat Shaw and I have been talking about Malaysia as an alternative venue for Singapore. Singapore's only got limited space. So for the younger horses, it's very possible that Pat will ask Malaysia or some facilities to just break them in and take care of them whilst they're waiting for space in Singapore. Obviously, UAE, Qatar, we know that there's a big
What does
inquiry.
Qatar fall under?
Look, they're part of that group of Gulf states. And, the truth of the matter is that...
Aren't they difficult people? Or are they...
I wouldn't say they're difficult. I would just say that they are waiting for a lead.
Okay.
Previously, Dubai accepted horses directly from Cape Town to Dubai.
And now?
Through Mauritius and Europe. And when South Africa was open, it went through Europe because they wanted Europe to take the risk, the so-called risk. We obviously know from a South African perspective that we've entered our winter. There will not be a threat of African horse sickness in the Cape until, if you look historically, February of 2014. So there is, in our perspective, the 24 months is up. There's no reason why importing countries with a good relationship with South Africa shouldn't accept horses directly out of Cape Town. Yeah. It would save $20,000 per horse to go directly from Cape Town to Dubai.
It's a lot of money.
It's apart from the cost on the impact of exercise or lack of exercise, as correct. Mike would know better than anyone else. But most of these imports into Dubai are endurance horses. Yeah. They are going to be running 120 Ks by the beginning of December. For them to get into Dubai early is going to certainly assist.
And doesn't that appeal to the powers that be there? Or
look,
are they also waiting for a leader?
Well, I don't know.
You don't know.
Mike and I and Hassan Adams went, as it was previously reported in Alan Guthrie, we had a very high-level delegation to the UAE under President Zuma's business delegation, and it wasn't successful at the time. Of course, we're applying as soon as we can. Hopefully, hand-deliver a protocol to the right people and ask them to take it forward.
Peter, anything else on page 3?
No.
Let's talk about page 4, because this is interesting. Can we pop it up on our screen if you've got it there? There it is for the crowd out there watching this. Talk about other agricultural exports.
Well, I think it's dangerous that we look at horse exports in isolation of all the other agricultural products.
Like what?
Red meat.
Any nyama out the country?
Any nyama out the country is being affected.
What test does that have?
Well, foot and mouth. And South Africa's foot and mouth controls have effectively I don't want to use the word disintegrated, but have fallen into disrepair over the years, and that has impacted on South Africa's ability to export red meat, which is a multi-billion rand industry.
Have they got protocols in place at the moment, the red meat people?
No, look, because they're battling to control foot and mouth.
So they can't get red meat out?
No.
So they're in the same sort
of boat
as
us. Ostrich industry through avian influenza is another example. And there are many others. So in other words, there's a common denominator in the fact that as a country, investment in veterinary services and therefore agriculture is the defining point at which we're able to actually maintain standards which the importing countries demand of us. And so horse exports, like the others, are impacted by underinvestment in veterinary services. And that's been a historic factor, certainly in recent history. There are steps that have been taken over the last couple of years where a forum of all the veterinary community that serve those sectors, Racing South Africa is a paid-up member, Dr. Zietsman or Bev Parker is our member, so it's not as though we're alone. That's the point.
Peter, second point, funding. This is, they can't expect you to carry the burden.
Well, Racing South Africa has, and I must say, with its partners, the Thoroughbred Racing Trust in particular, who contributes significantly to equine research work and to other independent projects that we think are important, such as the AHS vaccination program. They put up 650,000. The census, they put up a lot of money. So they are supporting some of the research work that they believe are important. And Racing South Africa shareholders, the breeders, the operator and the owner, obviously invest significantly in terms of all our other functions, which is equine research, the Horse Sickness Trust, the Trade Council, and all the sort of costs that go towards actually improving or attempting to drive the process of internationalization. We currently employ 2 veterinarians, effectively to plug a few of the holes in the resource environment of veterinary services. So Dr. Bev Zietsman is our bridge.
They're on the blower, getting funding.
They're funded by Racing South Africa. What we're trying to say now is that racing is carried this whole momentum since 1995, and we really do need, firstly, government support to contribute, and secondly, from the sport horse sector. And Racing South Africa has recently become an affiliate member of the newly formed Equine Federation. It's a first real opportunity for all the equine disciplines to fall under one umbrella. And obviously we are meeting on the 27th of June to see what ways that they can levy some sort of funding to contribute, lessen the burden.
Where would they levy it from?
Well, look, obviously shows, passports, there's an opportunity to look at the import of imported sport horses. I'm not saying that we're going to be successful, but our intention is to appeal to the sport horse sector to partner with us and find ways of actually either lessening the burden on racing or expanding our operations so that we can tackle what requires to be tackled.
What about international impact?
Look, obviously the importing countries have over the years taken either a lesser or a greater degree of concern about importing from South Africa. I had an interesting email from Winfried Engelbrecht-Breches recently, where a subcommittee of the Federation has now, together with the FEI, the sport horse community, looked at ways of improving the movement of elite horses, elite competition horses, whether it's racing or Olympic or whatever it might be.
Show jumping or whatever.
To allow those horses to be less impacted than the normal sort of exports, shall we say. And that's a significant move forward.
Yeah, and would that cover Olympic Games?
And of course, at the end of the day, South Africa's export drive was stimulated by a 1997 bid for the Olympic Games. I think the year that they were bidding for was 2012 or something like that. Yeah. Recently on the news, President Zuma mentioned that South Africa was again thinking about it. And so really an Olympic game focus then draws or demands a solution for the equestrian component, which means that you're tying in a national strategy through the National Planning Committee, which then draws in all the departments that play a role in the way in which we are able to export. And exports leads to re-export of competition horses. Yeah.
Peter, that part one is very, very good. I hope people out there get to realize what you're sitting through. You must be frustrated after years and years and years. People must say, what's Peter Gibson doing for us? Is he getting something done? You must get that question all the time, man.
Look, it's a massively frustrating position to be in, because we know that the shutdowns have cost us huge momentum in terms of our ability to trade. I mean, we've got such a minute market share internationally.
China's opening up.
We've got lots of opportunity, and the 2-year shutdown has absolutely, destroyed our ability to maintain that momentum. And certainly from our perspective, where we know that we have a natural break during our winter seasonality, I know is off the cards. But in terms of our ability to negotiate with trading partners,
to get them out.
Peter,
so let me just put this to you. Now we get everything. We get the stamp of approval. And as you say, till February, we know there's no machis and everything's fine. We're back on thin ice from the 1st of March. But any outbreak could kill us.
The only thing that is in our favour is through the new code, where it does allow for, a new principle allows for re-exporting 80 days after the last case, assuming that you've contained it.
That's a big win.
Which is a major, because effectively that takes you to a winter resumption of exporting.
Oh, this 2-year thing is a nightmare.
Firstly, it's, in a South African context, is unjustifiable.
Yeah.
For us to sit through 2 infectious periods, where we have a natural break every winter, is crippling, as we know. And what we require is good old-fashioned relationships with our trading partners. We are part of the federation. We're a contributor internationally through the horses and the horsemen and everything else that we do right. To not allow South Africa to compete is nothing short of criminal, in my opinion.
I agree with you, and Peter, the whole racing fraternity is right behind you. And as I say, a lot of people look at you saying, come on, Peter, get something done.
And I can understand that.
You've had, as you say, a Zuma delegation, people like Marcus Joseph, Bernard Cantor, Michael de Kock, the leading players in behind you trying to help, and they get to the stage of thinking, wow, are we getting anywhere? So hopefully, when do you think we can get part 2 out of you?
Look, I would think that once South Africa has responded to the EU and private sector, Racing South Africa's team on the export side has had a chance to look at their report, that will then allow us to actually bring in some technical people. There will be a workshop, I can tell you right now, because we're at a watershed now.
Yeah.
The Olympic Games, I think, is a very good bit of news, because it is a national focus, national from top down, to put budgets in place to actually get the systems right. If we walk away, I just would like to leave that thought. If we walk away from the free zone concept, we can kiss international racing goodbye. So we have a decision to make as an industry. We could always say we're going to invest solely in an infected zone solution, or invest with a joint venture, maybe enhance the Mauritian environment, enhance the American environment, and walk away.
They're long routes. But
with the right infrastructure in place, the reduction in quarantine, certainly the USA, they have a right to reduce the quarantine to 14 days,
that would be
based on the code, if they wanted to. So South Africa's at a point where it now needs to actually make a strong call to move in one direction or the other.
Okay, Peter, it's been very, very interesting, and we love these updates. We've got to get as many as we can from you, but I'm looking forward to part 2. We're getting close to it now, Peter.
Look, we are. As I say, once the importing countries have acknowledged receipt of our reapplication to have the suspension lifted, all the countries I've mentioned before can accept horses from Cape Town's free zone.
Excellent, Peter.
No reason why not.
Thanks very, very much, Peter. Just before we wrap up, a couple of points. Watching our show, you can get it on Gold Circle Racing on YouTube. You can get that. And to end on a sad note, our thoughts and condolences go again out to Joe Soma, who lost his brother Gary, father of Gabby. And it's been a tough time for the humble hero, and our thoughts are really with you. Until next time, we'll see you later.
Biggest millions I've ever seen. Grace Valana, the leader. Grace Valana.